Revelation 1519, from the 13th of July 1940. Educated thinking. Misguided. The Spirit out of God imparts to you a proclamation of immense importance, and He therefore needs your whole will and joyful reception of this message. Little success will be recorded with those whose train of thought is misguided and who are nevertheless of the firm conviction to stand in truth and in knowledge. And those the Father in heaven wants to help because they were misguided without own fault. They trusted too much in their spiritual leaders on earth and let themselves be guided according to their will. This is certainly a certain weakness of the will and an abuse of the own intellect, which God has given to man for earth time and which he is to use as power. But since already in earliest youth unprompted men seized the train of thought of such weaklings and therefore directed it according to their own discretion, man was inevitably pushed into a wrong direction of thought and can now free himself from it with difficulty because those men found ways and means to impose a certain spiritual bondage over those entrusted to them, which was to eliminate own thinking, what was desired by those. And the Lord takes pity on these enslaved people and seeks to bring them help of the most diverse kind, by first causing them to think for themselves through earthly adversity. He seeks to bring them enlightenment and is tangibly close to them. But he demands a willing accommodation from them that they likewise let their free will become active. This is absolutely necessary, since free will also received the educated teaching, it now also has to check what is now offered to it for its truthfulness and therefore accept or reject it. Because God cannot switch off his sense of justice, he must let every man's attitude be valid. Since he before let himself be ruled by a foreign power, eliminated own thinking and unconditionally accepted what was offered to him, so God must now also demand the same for the teaching, which he himself offers. To men from above he must, so to speak, be instructed a second time, and indeed in completely new spiritual direction. But he must now use his intellect to examine what is presented to him. If he is believing, therefore carries God in the heart, then he will also soon recognize on which side the pure truth is. If the will is active in him to fathom it, then God also equips him with sharp intellectual thinking, and he will succeed to free himself from the compulsion, which was exerted on him so far. Unbelievably many errors have come into being through exactly this influencing of men through ignorant earthly teachers who only want to serve God in name. And man must absolutely free himself from this influencing to now turn his thoughts towards pure truth. The strangest occasions can be cause for it that man learns to see the baselessness of those teachings, which up to now were considered to be true, and, even if only purely inwardly, begins to separate himself from that what is eternally only an obstacle for him. Once he has recognized the error, then his own intellect now steps in and hinders every further influence through erroneous teachings. And then man, to whom the change of thinking was incumbent, has an easy game, if the other is willing. But it is unbelievably difficult when the adversary has already succeeded in completely confusing the thinking of man, when he no longer can distinguish divine and human work, when the proof for the former is clearly given to him. God must then send the most severe suffering to them so that this will result in the desired success and people will use their intellect correctly. Amen.